Last month, I did something a little ridiculous. I took every cleaning tip my daughter sent me from the internet, every trick my neighbor swears by, and every miracle hack I've seen floating around, and I actually tested them. All of them, in my own home. Some of them saved me real money. One of them nearly cost me a countertop, and a couple of them were so useless I laughed out loud standing in my own kitchen. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which tips deserve a spot in your routine, which ones are quietly damaging your home, and which ones are pure internet fiction. And I promise you, at least one of these is going to surprise you because it surprised me, and I've been keeping house for over 40 years. I'm John Marcus. This is Seniors Cleaning Hacks, and if you find even one tip in this video that saves you time, money, or an aching back, do me a favor and tap that subscribe button so we can keep testing these things together. Let's get into it. The vinegar verdict. We have to start with vinegar, because vinegar is the celebrity of the cleaning world. Cheap, natural, sitting in everyone's pantry. The internet will tell you to put it on absolutely everything, and I used to believe that too. So here's what I found when I actually put it to the test. Vinegar earned its keep on glass, on chrome faucets, on hard water spots, and inside my coffee maker. On those jobs, it was excellent. That mild acid dissolves mineral buildup better than most products you'd pay 5 times as much for. My shower door hadn't looked that clear in years. But here's where it went wrong, and I want you to hear this part carefully. I wiped down a small corner of my granite counter with a vinegar and water mix, just to see. Within a few uses, that spot looked duller than the rest of the surface. That's called etching. The acid eats away at the protective sealant on natural stone, and once that shine is gone, no amount of scrubbing brings it back. The same goes for marble, travertine, and unsealed grout. It can also damage the finish on hardwood floors over time. And one more myth to bust while we're here. Vinegar is not a true disinfectant. It has some mild antimicrobial ability, but if you're wiping down surfaces after handling raw chicken, vinegar is not doing the job you think it's doing. Use a real disinfectant for that. So the verdict: keep vinegar for glass, mineral deposits, and descaling. Keep it far away from stone, and never trust it to sanitize. The baking soda and vinegar volcano. Speaking of vinegar, you've probably seen the famous combination. Pour baking soda down the drain, add vinegar, watch it fizz like a science fair project, and supposedly your drain comes out sparkling. I tried it on my slow bathroom sink. The fizzing was very dramatic. The result? Almost nothing. Here's the honest chemistry, explained simply. Baking soda is a base. Vinegar is an acid. When you mix them, they cancel each other out. That satisfying fizz is the two ingredients neutralizing one another, and what's left behind is mostly salty water. You've essentially thrown a little party in your drain and then sent everyone home. Now, each ingredient on its own is useful. Baking soda alone is a gentle scrub and a wonderful odor absorber. Vinegar alone dissolves mineral buildup, but together, they mostly just entertain you. What actually cleared my drain was much less exciting. A simple drain snake, which costs a few dollars at the hardware store, pulled out the clog in about 2 minutes. For maintenance, a kettle of very hot water with a squirt of dish soap flushed down the drain once a week keeps grease from building up in the first place. Not glamorous, but it works. Hot water and the germ myth. Now let's talk about one that sounds so logical, most of us never question it. The idea that washing with hot tap water kills germs. I always assumed it did. Heat kills germs, tap water gets hot, case closed. But when I looked into the actual numbers, the story fell apart. To reliably kill bacteria, water needs to be somewhere around 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and it needs to hold that temperature for several minutes. Your tap water, at a safe household setting, comes out around 120 degrees at most. That's warm enough to feel like it's working, and nowhere near hot enough to sanitize anything. And please, whatever you do, don't crank up your water heater to compensate. Water hot enough to kill germs on contact is also hot enough to scald skin in seconds, and for those of us with grandchildren visiting, or for anyone with thinner, more delicate skin as we get older, that's a real danger. Scald burns send thousands of people to the emergency room every year, and older adults and small children are the most vulnerable. Here's what actually sanitizes: a proper disinfectant, given time to work. Read the label on the bottle. Nearly every disinfectant lists something called dwell time or contact time, which is how long the surface needs to remain wet for the product to kill germs. Sometimes that's 4 minutes, sometimes 10. Spraying and immediately wiping accomplishes very little. Spray, walk away, come back, then wipe. The waiting is where the magic happens. More soap does not mean more clean. This next one cost me nothing to test, because I'd been making the mistake for years without realizing it. If a little cleaner works, more must work better, right? So we glug extra detergent into the washing machine, we pour floor cleaner with a generous hand, we double up on the spray. It feels thorough. It feels responsible. Here's what's actually happening. Excess cleaner doesn't rinse away completely. It leaves behind a thin, sticky film, and that film becomes a magnet for dirt. Your floor looks clean for a day, then somehow seems grimy again faster than ever, so you use even more cleaner, and around you go. In the washing machine, extra detergent traps soil in the fabric and leaves your towels stiff and dingy. When I switched to using the exact recommended amount, and in some cases even a bit less, my floors stayed cleaner longer, and my towels came out softer. The measuring cap exists for a reason. If something isn't coming clean with the right amount of product, the answer is more time or a different product, never a bigger pour. The air freshener illusion. Let me tell you about the great cover-up happening in homes everywhere. I kept an air freshener in nearly every room for decades. If a room smelled fresh, I figured it was fresh. But an air freshener doesn't remove an odor. It layers a stronger scent on top of it. The source of the smell, whether it's something in the trash can, a damp spot in the laundry room, or a mystery in the refrigerator, is still sitting there, completely untouched, waiting for the perfume to fade, and it always fades. The test that convinced me was my kitchen trash area. I sprayed it faithfully for years. Then one weekend, instead of spraying, I actually pulled out the can, washed it inside and out, and let it dry in the sun. The smell was gone. Not masked. Gone. 2 years of spray had never accomplished what 20 minutes of actual cleaning did. So find the source and deal with it. For lingering odors in enclosed spaces, an open box of baking soda in the fridge or a closet works quietly and cheaply. And nothing beats opening the windows for 20 minutes on a nice day. Fresh air is still the best air freshener ever invented, and it's free. If you're finding these helpful so far, I'd love to hear in the comments which cleaning myth you believed the longest. I read every one, and honestly, your comments have given me half my video ideas. Dish soap everywhere somewhere along the line. The internet decided that blue dish soap is the answer to every cleaning question in existence. Floors, carpets, upholstery, driveways, you name it. Here's my honest report. Dish soap is a marvelous degreaser, and it belongs in the kitchen. On dishes, it's unbeatable. Diluted heavily in warm water, it's also fine for wiping down painted walls or sealed counters. Where it fails is anywhere it can't be thoroughly rinsed. On hard floors, it leaves that same sticky residue we talked about. On carpet, it's nearly impossible to rinse out, and the leftover soap grabs onto dirt, so your clean spot turns into a dark spot within weeks. On upholstery, it can cause water rings and fade certain fabrics. I tested it on a small carpet stain against an actual carpet cleaner. The dish soap spot looked fine for about 10 days, then turned grayish. The carpet cleaner spot stayed clean. Products made for specific surfaces exist because the chemistry genuinely matters. Let the dish soap do what it was born to do, and give the other jobs to the right tools. The tips that actually earned their reputation. Now for some good news, because not everything I tested was a disappointment. A few popular tips passed with flying colors, and I want to give credit where it's due. Microfiber cloths deserve every bit of their praise. I put a microfiber cloth up against paper towels and an old cotton rag on dusty furniture, and it wasn't even close. Those tiny fibers grab and hold dust instead of pushing it around, and on glass and mirrors, a barely damp microfiber cloth with plain water outperformed my glass spray entirely. No streaks, no chemicals, and they wash and reuse hundreds of times. If you buy one thing after watching this, buy a pack of these. Melamine sponges, the white foam blocks often called magic erasers, also passed, with one caveat. They work because they're actually a very fine abrasive, like extremely gentle sandpaper. Scuffs on walls, marks on light switches, grime on door frames, they handle beautifully. Just don't use them on glossy or delicate finishes. And test a hidden spot first, because that abrasive action can dull shiny surfaces. And the simple habit of squeegeeing or wiping the shower walls while you're still in the shower, 30 seconds a day, and my shower has needed a fraction of the scrubbing it used to. Soap scum never gets the chance to harden. This one tip has probably saved my shoulders more than anything else on this list. The marathon cleaning trap. I want to finish with the biggest lesson of this whole experiment, and it isn't about any single product. It's about how we schedule our cleaning. For most of my life, I was a Saturday cleaner. Let everything slide all week, then spend half the weekend catching up. It sounds disciplined, but it's actually fragile. Miss one Saturday because of a doctor's appointment or a visit from the kids, and suddenly you're 2 weeks behind. The job feels enormous, and you dread it even more. And at our age, a 4-hour cleaning marathon isn't just unpleasant, it's hard on the knees, the back, and the spirit. What I tested instead was breaking everything into small daily pieces. 10 minutes resetting the kitchen after dinner. A quick tidy of the living room before bed. Emptying the dishwasher with my morning coffee. Then one modest weekly session, under an hour, covering dusting, bathrooms, vacuuming, and floors. And each week, one single zone of the house gets a little extra deep cleaning attention on a rotation, so the baseboards and the inside of the fridge all get their turn eventually, without ever eating a whole day. The difference after 2 months was remarkable. My home never gets bad enough to need rescuing. Nothing takes long because nothing has time to build up, and the whole system keeps running, even on weeks when my energy doesn't cooperate, because 10 minutes is doable on almost any day. Routines beat motivation every single time, because motivation keeps her own schedule and rarely shows up when the bathroom needs attention. So after weeks of testing, here's the short version. Vinegar is a specialist, not a cure-all. The baking soda volcano is theater. Hot tap water sanitizes nothing. More product makes more mess. Air freshener is a disguise, not a solution. Dish soap belongs in the kitchen. Microfiber cloths and daily mini habits are worth their weight in gold. The thread running through all of it is simple. Read the label, match the product to the surface, give things time to work, and let small, consistent habits carry the load your back shouldn't have to. If this saved you from ruining a countertop or wasting money on tricks that don't work, share it with a friend who could use it, and consider subscribing so you don't miss the next round of testing, because I've already got a list of hacks lined up. Leave me a comment with any tip you want me to put through its paces next. Take care of yourselves, take it one small habit at a time, and I'll talk to you soon.